Kia ora, guys. I am Kim Crossman. I feel incredibly lucky for a multitude of reasons today, but I have the opportunity to talk to Brianna Piazza, and she is currently overseas. She's been on the border of Romania and Ukraine. She is on the ground, and as a fellow World Vision ambassador, I felt really compelled to speak to someone. I myself, as a World Vision ambassador, have actually been on the border of Syria and Jordan a few years ago, and this all feels eerily similar to what I experienced. So I wanted to get Brianna on to talk to her about what she's seen, what she's experiencing, and how us Kiwis can actually make some changes and make some actions to help the work that is happening on the ground at the moment. So Brianna, welcome. Thank you for taking time today to talk to us.
No, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Tell me a little bit about how you got here, because you are a humanitarian aid, right? Do you have a bat phone and they call you up and you just have to go to wherever that is?
Yeah, sure. So I was actually on vacation when we started noticing in the news things were starting to happen in Ukraine. And so I was actually expecting a call from work that I'd be heading off or supporting in some way with the emergency response.
Wow. So you've been on the ground for a bit of time now. Besides it being really cold, what are you seeing? What are you experiencing? Because in a story you wrote, you said that as you crossed the border into Ukraine, there was about 3 kilometers worth of people trying to flee, which is a huge amount, a very dense amount of people trying to get out. So what was that experience like?
Yeah, look, I don't know what came over me, but once we crossed the border and got into Ukraine, I started filming the line of people that I saw. And it wasn't just people, there was people, and then there was a line of cars as well. And, you know, I kept filming and we kept going and going, and my stomach just dropped. My heart just dropped because it was just never ending, or that's what it felt like in the moment. It was about 10 minutes of driving, just person after person, car after car, lots of children and their mothers just out in these cold, freezing conditions. Yeah, it was just shocking to see. And I think it brought home just the extent of the crisis at the moment. You know, people are fleeing conflict in Ukraine, right? But when they're fleeing for their lives. But once they cross the border, yes, they may have found safety, but their lives have just been turned upside down. And you can see on so many children's faces, they're haunted by what they've seen.
This decision to leave people behind, which comes from, like you're saying, space and vehicles, people's ability to walk out in the cold, what are they really doing? If they kind of risking their lives and not being, maybe not making it in case this situation gets worse? Like, are people hopeful that they will be reunited, or is there an air of reality that might be a bit of a pipe dream at the moment?
Yeah, of course. I mean, with the situation and just with the number of people fleeing for their lives at the moment, that's the big unknown. You know, when these families get separated, they do so with the hope that they're going to see each other again. And I think they're worried sick about each other. But ultimately, that's the thing, that they leave knowing that they don't know if they're ever going to see each other again. And I just think it's incredibly heartbreaking. And even, you know, there was a mother who I was speaking to at a shelter, and she's left her partner behind in order to get her 2 young children out. And it's interesting. She was actually saying she thinks in some ways it can be easier being a child, in the sense that they don't necessarily understand what's going on, but you know, and whereas mothers, they're aware of what's going on, they know the reality of the situation.
And what actions do you have in place to help, I guess, the children, but in turn the mothers, by keeping kids occupied with play or other services that you guys are offering?
Yeah, so like you mentioned before, you know, the child-friendly spaces and sort of offering that kind of psychosocial support is just so important. I know that we are starting to set these child-friendly spaces up. So, of course, emergencies, you have to meet urgent, life-saving, needs, so things like food and water. But you can't overlook the importance of children's mental and emotional health as well. So like I said, children arrive, they get across the border, and you can just see it in their eyes. It's just absolutely heartbreaking what they've had to witness, and no child should have to ever go through that. But even I was speaking with a young girl named Veronica. She's 10 years old. She's currently living in a shelter with about 350 or so other refugees. It's just really tough conditions that she's living in, and you can tell she's a bit quiet, she's a bit reserved, and she said to me that, because I was asking her about what did you bring with you, did you have time to pack anything, and unfortunately this family just had to flee with just the bare essentials mostly. But one thing she did bring was a teddy bear, and I asked her about that, but she said that it wasn't as big as her favorite teddy bear, which was back home. And this teddy bear, her favorite teddy bear, she used to hug and cuddle it, and it would make her feel better when she was upset and crying. It would comfort her. But the teddy bear she currently has with her can't do that. She doesn't have that same connection. So I think that, that's just a really touching story, but also it just goes to show that children are going through a lot right now, and anything that we can be doing to give them just a safe space, to whether it's just a play, to do some learning, or just interact with other kids. Just it's a little bit of normality when the world around them, it has just completely turned upside down from everything they knew and loved.
Yeah, what can Kiwis do? How can they be helpful and not sit here and feel helpless?
I mean, obviously, if people can and are able and willing to donate, people can head over to worldvision.org.nz. Any donation, big or small, will make a difference in someone's life. But also, I think even just keeping the conversation alive, talking about it around the dinner table, because I've seen it so many times before where we go through these crises, and the world's attention is on it for a few days or a week or two if we're lucky, and then we go back to our old lives and we forget about it. And I think people, no matter where they are in the world, if they're going through conflict and if they're going through just such a tragic situation, I think we owe it to them to not forget about them and to remember them. And that's why every time I can honestly say I've never forgotten anyone who I've interviewed or spoken to in these situations. I sit with that and I take it home with me, and I'm comfortable with that, because I just know that if it were me, if I was that mother with her 2 kids trying to get across the border to safety and I needed help and I shared my story for people to listen, I wouldn't want people to forget. So there's a lot that people can be doing, and I'm personally really moved to see just how much people around the world are mobilizing for this emergency.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, on behalf of myself, all of New Zealand, we're so grateful. We're the ones sitting at home. The least we can do, hopefully, if we have the ability to donate, or at the very least keep the dialogue going. But a big thank you to you. You're doing amazing work, and you're obviously impacting some pretty amazing lives who are having an impact on you as well. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your work. You're a legend.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. To stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald, click the subscribe button below, or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.